Hi everyone, as you can see, we have a really special video here today. I've got 4 of DJI's best drones, and we're going to compare and see which one is best for you. Before we get into the drones, I want to talk really quick about what I'm filming the talking portions of this video with. And that is the DJI Action 2, which I actually reviewed for Digital Trends a little while back, and I'll have a link to that review here. It's a fantastic little action camera, and the reason I'm filming with this, because I also have the DJI Mic, which plugs straight into the Action 2 for a really excellent little wireless microphone. Makes it really easy to record videos like this. It's a fantastic all-in-one system, and it just takes so much of the hassle of setting up a large camera. I think I've really kind of gotten addicted to filming this way because just how quick it is to set up and get good audio and get good video. Yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. I'm going to be doing a full review of the microphone as well. Been using it a ton, so it'll be a very comprehensive, detailed review of that. And yeah, just thought I'd mention that. Now, let's get to the drones. So we're going to start out with the Mavic 2 Pro. Now, I've been flying Mavic 2 drones for many years now, ever since the Mavic 2 first came out. I started out with the Mavic 2 Zoom, and when I crashed that, I upgraded to the Mavic 2 Pro. Fantastic drones. I have many hours in the air with these. They have been outclassed by more recent drones. These do have less battery life. The more recent DJI drones, they the software, I don't know, is a little bit finicky in some ways, but overall they are very impressive. If you own one of these drones, do not feel obligated to upgrade. This still captures fantastic images with that large 1-inch sensor and a variable aperture. Still a very good drone. Now, a few things to say about it. I do have to do a silly little dance every time I want to take off, because it needs the campus calibrated every time I use it. But that's not really a big deal. The battery life is not that great, but it's usable. You will probably want to invest in several batteries with this drone. Anyway, let's get it in the air and I'll show you what it can do. So now I'm here at the mysterious Mima Mounds, which are a fascinating natural wonder here in Washington. As you can see behind me, we have all these strange mounds out here across this prairie, and they're very interesting to film from the air. So I'm gonna film them with the DJI Air 2S. Now the Air 2S is as you can see, a very small and compact drone. And it's honestly one of my favorite DJI drones, partly for that reason, and also partly because it is fairly affordable. It provides great value for money. It has the same size of sensor as the Mavic 2 Pro, but in a much smaller form factor at a lower price point. It's also compatible with the Smart Controller, so that's a great setup there. A Smart Controller plus the Air 2S. Absolutely fantastic system that I love to use. This drone takes great photos, great videos, and is overall one of the most reliable drones that I've ever flown. I would say in terms of reliability, I would put the Air 2S above the Mavic 2 Pro and the Mavic 3. It's a very solid system, and I absolutely love it. This is actually the drone I recommend to most people, just because of the quality of the photos and video it produces, combined with just how well it performs and how small and light it is. It's just a great drone, and we're going to get it in the air right now. So the short story on the Mavic 3 is that it is simply the best drone on the market right now. The long story is that it has a few caveats that you should probably want to be aware of before investing in it. And you are going to have to invest in it because it is a very expensive drone. It's over $2,000 for the base model and goes all the way up to $5,000 for the Cine version. Now, I would actually argue that it is worth that price, but it is a lot of money to pay, and you can always go for the Air 2S, which is a perfectly fine drone. It has a great camera on it, and it is a much more affordable option. With that said, on the Mavic 3, you do get that enormous micro four thirds sensor for the main camera, and then a secondary camera with a 7x optical zoom. So it is an incredibly versatile camera system that is just kind of unparalleled in the drone market today. The other downside is that it has an issue with the GPS, where it is fairly slow to lock onto a GPS signal. So you're going to be waiting probably over a minute sometimes to get a GPS signal. And that's unfortunate. They have improved that with the most recent firmware update as of filming this video. So that's at least something, but just be aware that the GPS lock-on time is much longer than with any of these other drones that I'm talking about today. Now, with that said, again, overall, it is the most advanced and best drone that DJI has ever made, or indeed, I would say any drone manufacturer has made, at least in the consumer drone space. And we are going to fly it today. So the weather is kind of overcast. It was raining this morning, but we're going to fly here along the coast, and it's going to be spectacular, I think. So let's get in the air. now we're out in the forest, the perfect habitat for the DJI FPV drone. Now, FPV drones are a very different breed from the typical GPS drones that we've talked about so far. Those drones are meant for getting really nice pictures of landscapes and wide open spaces, and generally doing nice cinematic shots. That FPV drone, however, is a drone of action, meant for flying in confined spaces or doing really exciting tricks. And my favorite use of it is to fly it inside the forest to get really fun shots that show the interior of the forest underneath the canopy, flying through the higher branches or near the forest floor. You know, places where humans don't really usually go, and getting some really unique footage that way. You can flip this drone into manual and do some tricks, but I don't actually usually do that. I use this drone to get cinematic shots inside of the forest, and it is really cool for that reason. Flying FPV with the goggles on allows you to navigate in much narrower circumstances that you otherwise would, and it's easy to disable the systems on this drone that would otherwise keep it from crashing. And I have crashed this drone a couple times, but it survived every time, including just the other day. So it's a pretty durable drone. My one complaint is that it doesn't have the greatest camera on it, sadly, and that it's mounted in such a way that you have to crop the video in to remove the propellers from the view. So it's, that's a bit of a downside. What I usually like to do is mount a camera on top of it, like a little action camera, such as the DJI Action 2, and film with that instead, since it provides better video quality. But it is acceptable if that's all you have. It is, just a really fun, easy way to get into FPV drone flying. And I'm going to show you just what it can do right now. There's one major DJI drone that I don't actually have hands-on with right now that I really think is worth mentioning before we round off this video here, and that's the DJI Mini 2. It's their smallest, lightest, and one of their cheapest drones, and it provides a lot of value for money. It's small enough that you can carry it pretty much anywhere. It's small even compared to the Air 2S, which is crazy because the Air 2S to me is about the ideal size for a small drone. The DJI Mini 2 is even smaller, and it's also like half the price of the Air 2S. So if you're on a budget or if you need something cheap and light, the Mini 2 is an excellent choice. It's not as robust as these other drones in terms of its image quality or its overall performance, but it is nonetheless extremely competent and perfectly usable for all kinds of video. I would be perfectly happy to use that drone for my own videos on my channel in a pinch. So yeah, I thought that was just worth mentioning. So I'm filming the conclusion of this video with the DJI Mavic 3, which is tracking me using active track. It's a little nerve-wracking having it up there in the sky and me just talking to it without looking at the controller. It's a little it bugs me a little bit. But it does seem to be doing a reasonable job of following me around. And I'm recording using the DJI Mic, so I'm able to vlog with a drone, and that's kind of cool. So anyway, the DJI Mavic 3 definitely has the best image quality, the best video quality, and the most advanced features, except for that one annoying little GPS issue. So it really is the best drone out there at the moment, if you have the budget. If you don't have over $2,000 to spend on a drone, then the DJI Air 2S is a remarkably competent option, given that it costs as little as it does. That would be the one. That's my like best value for money that you can get. It's a really, really polished device. The DJI Mavic 2 Pro wouldn't be my #1 pick anymore. If you can buy it for cheap, that's fine. But the DJI's newer drones are definitely a step up from that older model. If you still have the Mavic 2 Pro, like I said before, perfectly fine option. Records beautiful video, great photos. Don't worry if you already have it. If you're really on a budget, the DJI Mini 2 is a fantastic option. If you can't spend $1,000 on a drone, DJI Mini 2 is definitely the way to go. You can get great photos and videos at a very, very low price point. It's definitely a really good one to use. I haven't personally used it, but all the results I've seen from it definitely make me willing to recommend it. If you're looking for something more fun-oriented, that's like really exciting to fly, definitely go for the DJI FPV. I know actual DJI FPV enthusiasts will kind of scoff at that drone because it's it's not a real FPV drone. It's definitely limited in some ways compared to one you can build for yourself. But it's a lot of fun to fly. You fly with the goggles and everything and go through tight space and get some really cool footage. So anyway, that's about it. That about rounds it up. And it's starting to rain. I really don't want to fly with my iPad mini here and everything, and the drone with the rain coming down. We're going to wrap this up. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope this video helped you decide which drone you had for you. I'm going to gonna land the Mavic 3 here, and or maybe I'll fly it up and maybe there's a rainbow somewhere I can film. Anyway, I'll see you all again next time. Please subscribe, hit that like button, and yeah, bye.